My schedule revolves around my kids, training, and then money. S But in camp, it's training,
It's true.
kids, then money. As cold as that sounds, right?
Yeah.
But it has to be, and they know that.
What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rapid Sparsa, coming to you with another great installment of the Grappling Hour. We have an excellent guest, a longtime friend of the show. We'll get back to him in just a second. But before we get to him, a couple quick reminders. One, if you like this show, and I hope that you do, if you would do us a solid and head on over to patreon.com/grappling hour, you could support us by paying $5 to see these interviews 30 days before everybody else. So you get first crack at it. You support the show. You're not poor. You're helping us here. It's a big thing. And for a few extra dollars, you can see extra bonus content not available anywhere else, including tape studies with the athletes where we watch their fights together, extra bonus content, and a segment where people roast my competition footage. But for whatever reason, that is the most popular segment. Cannot tell you why. Nonetheless, you can go there. You can also like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Now, if you don't know what you want to comment on, don't worry. By the end of this video, we will give you a prompt to go ahead and comment on. So don't go too far. You should say nice things to Albert, though, because that's always nice when he sees stuff like that. Last couple of reminders. You can also get some Grappling Hour merch. See this? Look at this. This is great. You can look great, but there's also a hoodie you can wear. You can stay warm when you're competing. It's cold in certain regions of the world. Wear your Grappling Hour hoodie. Head on over to rapasparza.com/merch. And finally, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Be sure to rate and review. It does help us. And check us out for further discussions that you hear on the show on our Discord at Grappling Hour. All right, our guest. Let's get to him. Well, one thing about our guest is, he's always going to bring a great fight, and I always appreciate watching him. What is odd about watching him sometimes fight is that I'm not always used to being cage side and then being told, hey, what's up, handsome? By this guy, where I'm like, brother, don't you have other things to be doing? And I'm like, no, he didn't have to do any more. He won his last fight. And it was a wonderful fight to see it up next. We want to thank our friends for a great, great card. But at the top of it, the man himself, one Albert Morales. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great, man.
Dude, welcome to the digs. We've been trying to get you over to Milton's for a minute, and I'm so glad we were finally able to make it happen. So thank you for coming, sir.
It's been a long time coming. I've been wanting to come check out Milton's gyms for a long time. I've known him since the amateur days, and to see him make this dope gym is pretty cool, and super happy for him.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, dude, he's worked really hard for it, and it is very funny because I remembered him going to Black House a couple times to go train, and specifically train with you. Like, I just knew that you guys were cool in that way. And he's always like, dude, when's Albert fighting? When's the next thing? So we definitely have conversations about you. So he sends his love. But I gotta ask, okay, so how relaxed are you in those moments? Because obviously you got the fight result you wanted, but when you start coming up to me and being like, "What's up, man?" I'm like, "Hello, dude. You have work to do. We'll talk afterwards. I don't want to take up your time." But you had a pretty good night that night. So what did it feel like this time to come home with the win?
Um, Coming with the win, I mean, that's what we fight for, right? It's the
Mm.
wins, puts me in the right spot. I'm working my way back to the UFC. I'm working on being undeniable. So another first round finish looks good on the record. I have four first round finishes my last 5 fights, so it's looking good. That's nice. You asked before how
You're so calm in those moments because even then, most people, like the first time they win, they might over celebrate something. Like you obviously were happy, but then you, instead of going hype, got like chill. And it was the most relaxed version I think I do get to see of you.
yeah. something my high school football coach told me, because I would go in there and I would get sacked because I played DN, as
Mhm.
believe it or not. 'Cause
Mm.
we ran a 5-2, so I was kind of like a fast, skinny end, and I would go get my job was to get the quarterback majority of the time, outside contain, and then get the quarterback. Um, and I would get sacks because I was faster than these fat guys, right?
Yeah.
And so I'd get the sacks, and I would just flip out, and little by little, I would start. I became like the division leader in sacks,
Mm.
right? And I would always flip out every single time, right? And then one time, my coach grabbed me and he's like, "Hey, bro, act like you've been here before."
Mm.
Right? And I remember that's like, I remember that, even till this day, right? Because that's what I'm telling you. Um, and a lot of my fights I won, and I mean, there's when I got signed to the UFC, there's a sick picture of me like jumping onto the cage
Mhm.
and like flying in the air, right? And like they got a cool little, and like that's where the Air Morales came. It
Mm.
wasn't from the flying knee, it was from that picture. Um, and I don't know, I would explode and stuff like that. But this part of my career, I'm really focused. Um, and I don't want to do, I just want to just act like I've been here before, and all the way to the UFC. I've been a champion before. I've been close to the UFC before, but I've also lost the belt before,
Mm.
right? So I know how thinking that you're better than you are, or something you're not. You know what I mean? Can bite you in your ass. So I'm just gonna stay focused. I'm not the UFC champion yet, and until I get that, that's when I'll maybe take the foot off the brake, the gas a little bit, you know?
I tell people, I'm like, you don't know how you're going to react most times. So it's hard to always say, like, I'm going to be this. But I do tell people, obviously take it in stride, but allow yourself to enjoy it if that's what you're feeling in the moment. Like, whatever it is, just make sure you're receptive to whatever you're feeling in the moment and go with that. Because I've seen people be like so stoic that they don't get it again and then they're like a different person or whatever. So I've seen all different variations of it. So I'm like, just if it's you, do what you do best. And for you, I was like, no, you looked happy. It
Yeah.
was just the most relaxed. Like, I was like, are we going to talk? And you go, yeah, we're talking, man. We're going to do it soon. I was like, okay. Well, I'll follow up when you're a little off the uppers here, but you just had a very relaxed conversational tone that made me know you were pleased with the results, but you were in a good space. You were in the realm of being a good Kobe disciple, which is, job's not done.
Yeah.
So you're still in your moment. And it is very funny to see you now emulating the later Kobe, where it was like he got into this moment where he's like, I've already done this. I've done this. And he didn't get super excited anymore in the same way, even when he would get like angry, pissed, celebratory. He would just be like, okay, we're good. And then we get angry at the kids who weren't doing good shit on the Lakers, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
But for you, that obviously felt good. How did that come together? How did you get this particular fight? Because what was interesting to me was I didn't know that your opponent was going to retire right afterwards. So that was an interesting thing. But they don't tell you that up front. They don't go like, hey, he's going to retire after this match. I'm sure this all comes as a surprise, but it did come together quite quickly. So how did it come together for you, sir?
The fight, I mean, I felt like that was a fight that Southern California MMA not necessarily needed. We don't need anything, right? But it was cool. It was a fight that we all wanted, because I was supposed to fight him. I don't know how, like, I mean, before I went to Lights Out,
Mm.
we were in negotiations to fight. And I felt like that was a fight that can get me back into the UFC
Mm.
at that time, because I was on a win streak. Actually, no, I actually lost to Javier Garcia when they offered me that
Mm.
fight. Um, but we were supposed to fight, didn't happen. People heard about the fight. There was even flyers made, so people were hyped about it. But like I said, it didn't happen. Um, so I felt like it was the fight to make. I felt like it'll put me. It's another UFC veteran,
Mhm.
so that underneath the list of fighters would be cool. Thanks to Up Next, I have 3 UFC veterans underneath my name. So that looks good. I know Sean Shelby looks at that stuff too. So yeah, that's how that came about. I feel like the city needed it, the MMA community needed it, I needed it. I mean, it sucks that he went out that way. I even told him in the cage, I think you should fight again. Go out like,
Really?
yeah, I think so. I don't think he did like I think he will too, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. He's a G, bro. Like he's a gangster. He fights with his heart, He fights for like I don't know what he fights for. Maybe it could be his Frenchies, man, but he fights like a G, you know, he fights with everything and, you know, he'll go out on a shield. So,
I
he's a
mean,
beast.
one thing that I appreciated and that I thought showed your character as well was he obviously announces this. And I guess I should start by asking, were you surprised that he was making that announcement that day?
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised because, like I said, I don't think he'd wanna go out like
Yeah,
that, you
yeah.
know? Um, but at the same time, I knew he was kinda like that was something that my coach was telling me, "He's
Mm,
too old."
mm.
You know what I mean? He even said it. He even said it at weigh-ins, he's like, "I'm too old," because he missed weight,
Oh.
and he was like, "I'm too old," and I'm just like, "Don't tell me that." You know what I mean? Don't you know what I mean? Like, doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're in a cage. Anything can happen. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Oh, bro, he's dangerous,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
You know, I was on high alert. I trained super hard, man. I flew to Hawaii, you know what I mean, to train with my coach. Shout out to my sponsor, Gramercy, to help me pay for my flight to get out there. And I went out there and you know sacrificed time away from my daughters. I was freaking out. It's funny, like when you're away, you start thinking of all these crazy things, like my mom, like thinking like all kind of nonsense that I don't want to bring out there. But I'm thinking
Mm,
the worst case scenarios, and I'm all the way here in Hawaii, right?
mhm,
So, I mean, it was cool because it put me in the scenario of my coach, you know, my coach's shoes. Because my coach, every time we have a fight, he flies out for us.
mm.
He lives with me in my room and he has a family and stuff like that. So it was cool to get his perspective, you know? But it sucked. I mean, I was in Maui. Like, how can you complain about that? But I wasn't in Maui like people are in Maui, right? I wasn't hitting all the tourist spots. I mean, Samurai took me to like we went to a waterfall, local waterfall, but like little local spots. I trained with a local gym, Southside Boxing. Shout out to Southside Boxing. Um, so I got like the real, like authentic Maui experience.
Mm.
But I was there training like 6 hours, 8 hours a day. Like I didn't have to worry about anything. Like Samurai would pick me up. I mean, I slept right there in the living room, right? We drive spot. Sometimes we'd park somewhere. He'd tell me to start running to the next location. He said, just run. When you see the grocery market, you know you're there. You'll see the truck. And then from there we went swimming. So it was beast mode.
Mm.
You know, it was cool. It was a cool experience, and like I said, I got to feel, uh, what it felt like to be away from my family again, and that's like that was a different type of, stress.
Definitely a work trip. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
definitely, when people sometimes are like, "Oh, you're going to Maui or Hawaii," you think, "Well, you're gonna go have fun." You go, it's not one of those trips.
yeah.
It's gonna be a working 9 hours a day, and physical work, which will drain the hell out of you. So I do get that. I guess the reason why I was asking, were you surprised, is because then your natural inclination, your natural reaction after realizing what was happening was you were leading the crowd into the applause for him. Like you were the first one to kind of put it together and you're like, dude, you started clapping. And I thought that was such a respectable thing because, as you mentioned, you obviously don't want him to go to an L on his record and go out on that. But at the same point, you have respect for your opponent after that was done. So I thought that was a pretty classy thing, sir.
Yeah, I mean, he deserves it for the career that he had, you know, I felt like that was his moment, you know, even though he went out, bro, he went out on loss, but, you know, he went out, he lost to me on a win streak that's leading me to the UFC title.
Yeah.
You feel me? And that's why, like in the ring, he told me he was gonna retire. I said, and he's like, "It's your turn," and I take that shit like to heart. Like it's my turn, and I'm gonna take it to the belt. Like my turn to represent LA, Southern California, 135ers, you know, 145ers too. Like the lower weight classes is my turn to represent. I'm gonna bring a belt to LA. But like I said, I felt like that was his moment, you know? Like that's I've been there before. You feel me?
Mm,
Actually, you wanna know something? That's
mm,
the first time I defended a belt. So that actually was a moment for me too. But it did for me, it's like, okay, you know, next, right? That was his moment. So it was like, nah, it wasn't nothing for me. It's like, yeah, let like I didn't even think about it at the time. You know, I just felt like that was his moment. Yeah.
It was odd because there was a lot of circumstances there at the end of that whole fight that I was paying attention to because you have that, you have him retiring, your moment, Javi over there with the belt, and I'm like, what is happening? And then Javi talked to me and he's just like, hey man, sucks. I didn't get to have my moment to go in there. And I go, I think once he retired, dude, you can't do another moment.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing to be like, hey, you won, congrats. And then maybe somebody confronts you, and then okay. But when somebody says they're retired, it's like, dude, we all have to give due to that being the last moment, you know?
Yeah. Now I saw him on the way out.
I saw that. What
He's
did you
so
guys say to
goofy,
each
man.
other?
He's so goofy, but I like him though. He's
Oh, yeah.
yeah, he like, you know, you got to give credit where credit's due. The dude has he beat me, right? I'm not gonna lose to a bum, right? Not, and then he backed that by winning the LFA belt. And then he's on his way to winning the freaking I think it's Cage Warriors, right? But they're for some reason they're not letting him fight for the belt or whatever. But I feel like he's almost like he should get that. And honestly, I feel like he should be in the UFC. I feel like he earned it, you know. But for whatever reason, maybe the UFC thinks he's as goofy as I do, you know. but you know, but he's earned it, and you have to give respect, you know, where credit. You got to give credit where credit's due. But yeah, we talk to each other. He's dope. Like to me, I like, you know, the mariachi suit. Like he needs to switch it up. He needs to get some new ones. You feel me? Like they kind of smell. You know, I kind of but no, he's dope, bro.
Yeah.
And he is respectful. Like he'll talk his shit, like I'll talk my shit. But like he is, you know, he's not a like even then he didn't rush bombard it. Like I mean, maybe he tried to, but they didn't let him. You know what I mean? I don't know, but
I'm
I got
pretty sure from my perspective, because you know, Javi had just done some work for us at Subversive. So he competed on our card. And I got to talk with him a lot. There were some crazy circumstances during that week
oh shit.
where there was a change of opponent at the last minute because the opponent was just like, I'm not showing up. And it was really weird. And it's day of the event. And that was our main event.
Oh,
So
Hobby versus that guy?
that guy was like, I'm not going to show up. Fortunately, we had a backup plan because we plan ahead.
Yeah.
And so we said, hey, how about you versus a guy named Jordan Worth? You guys are 1-1. And Javi was like, let's run it.
Oh, Jordan where knows the
Jordan wears no gi.
yeah, that's my boy.
Dude, Jordan's sick.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, Javi doesn't have to take that match. You know, I mean, if you really think about it, if somebody crashes out day of, obviously you want to compete, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to. And he did. So my respect for
He's a
him.
competitor, bro.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, Javi, like I said, you got to give credit where credit's due, bro. Javi also has gotten me in a grappling match at High Rollers, right? So I need to beat his ass. I need to get I need to get him. I need to get him. You know what I mean? So hopefully we get to scrap. You know, on the way out, I told him we're gonna catch each other again. You know, whether it's here or the UFC. You know what I mean? And
I mean, it
told
would
him,
be dope in the UFC.
yeah, it'd be sick. Like, you know, but I know I'm on my way there. I don't know about that fool, but I'll add him on the list to the way up. I need to get but I'm gonna finish him. You know what I mean? It's not a grappling match over there.
Well, I just love the fact that I saw you guys interact for a half second and it looked cordial, it looked cool. And then I saw Javi a little bit afterwards and we just talked. And I was like, hey, man, I was like, I don't think that has anything to do with you. And I don't think it's anything other than somebody retires, you give them their due, and then we all move on. Would it have been a moment? I don't know, maybe. But at the same point, I think you're right. I think at some point you probably do run into him. And it's cool because you do have mutual respect for each other. Like he's a very good competitor. You're obviously a great competitor as well. So it's like, I think sometimes things have a way of finding themselves out a little bit later, especially for both of your goals. But let's talk about this. You ended up doing that. You have this great night. How do you celebrate this particular win, sir?
Immediately after we went to a spot called Lock and Key or Lock Key.
Okay.
It's this spot in Downey. It's almost been it's been two fights in a row where I've gone there. But I went back to work.
Nice.
You know, I'm back on the grind, ready to go. I want to fight, you know, if everything works out, like, you know, and stars align, I would love to fight on the January card in LA, UFC, fall in short notice. Um, I'm, you know, I'm talking to certain people, so I'm like, do I think it's gonna happen? Probably not, but I'm gonna be ready for it, you know. And if not, then so far up next has been treating me very, you know, dope. We're not signed to any contract, but like they take care of me, man. They treat me like family. They're paying me the right way, you know, and that's a big thing, bro. Like, you know, they pay fighters what they're worth. You feel me? It's like some promotions they don't want to pay for the worth of a fighter. They don't realize that we're sacrificing our body. we can die in the cage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can take one bad hit and you die. Maybe not even that day, but but it's cool that the Buckners and Mr. Lights Out take care of us in like in and outside the cage, but also helping me out financially and paying me my worth.
That's good to know because I've seen them bring a certain professionalism, and that card was from start to finish really fun.
Yeah, bro. Like even like the fights, you know what I mean? The fighters, like all the young guys, all those young amateurs, they come in hungry because they want to fight for that promotion, bro. Like, you know, like they feel like pros. Like if I were to make a debut there, or if I was gonna fight my amateur fight there, oh, I'd come out because I would want to make my pro debut there. You know what I mean? Like the crowd's crazy. You get day before weigh-ins. Yeah.
I mean, crowd was lit. You guys put on great fights that night. We had a ton of finishes that we saw throughout the evening. I got to photograph that one. Really enjoyed it. Really, really was happy about it. However, then we get into scheduling because you're a busy man. So I try to be accommodating and saying like, "Hey, man, when can we do this? When can we do this?" And then you were like, "My brother, I'm gonna fly to Florida," and I was like, "What does that mean?" Because I'm like, "Well, do you want to do it Monday? Wouldn't you be jet lagged or something?" You're like, "Nah, we're doing it." And I go, "Are you sure?" And you're like, "Yes." And then you go there. So first off, what were you doing out in Florida? Let's start here.
Um, it was a movie. Straight up. Like every night was a music video, right? But it wasn't a music video. It was just these guys balling out and having the time of their life. But they had the time of their life every night, you feel me? I was working security though. Yeah, I was working private security for one of my sponsors, foreign lifestyle. Um and he was helping one of his friends, Sugar. So it's a bud company out there in Florida.
Okay.
They're out here in LA too. Actually, I think they're founded in LA, but they sell in Florida. So they were out there promoting, and I was just there, watching their back, making sure nothing crazy happens or anything like that. But luckily, everybody loves them, and everything was cool. All the security guards knew them. But like I said, it was I was around all these rappers. Like Little Baby was there, Cardi B was there. Like because we went to a specific spot called Booby Trap. Um, and it's a club, right? It's a hip hop club, but it's a strip club too. You feel me? So it was insane. Those fools are crazy.
I just laughed because I saw how the schedule was, you know? And I saw that you were up at 6 a.m. You're like, "Oh, going to bed at 6 a.m." And I go, I start feeling bad. Like, I don't know that I want to force you to do an interview because I also know you get up hella freaking early, bro. Like, when you put up on your Instagram, you're like, up 5 a.m., time to run. I go, okay, I'm still asleep. You go run. You tell me how it goes. One, hate running. Two, don't love mornings. I'll do it to train. That's about it.
Yeah.
And then three, that would normally be the time you would be running, but you were like, just going to sleep now. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So I realized I was like, I don't think this is a good time. Maybe I need to tell my man we reschedule this. And you're like, no way. Rap's just kidding. I'm not coming back on Monday. I'm staying one more day. And I was like, okay, at least my instincts weren't wrong. So at the very least, was it a fun experience? Because even though you're working, it still looked like a great scene to be a part of that not everybody gets to experience on a regular basis.
Yeah, definitely. I know I had a great time. Like, how can you be mad being around beautiful women all the time, you know? Not complaining. Um, yeah, it was wild. It was wild. I could see myself doing the private security though. I could see a lot of my friends doing private security. I definitely want to get my armed license, because I mean, I can scrap, I can de-escalate a situation. It's funny, a lot of security guards were seeing and noticing my ears and off the top were just really cool with me. You know what I mean? And that's cool because that de-escalates the situation off the top. Um, and I wasn't walking around like with an ego or anything like that. So it was cool. Like I said, it's just watching my friends back. That's what it felt like at the end of the day, just watching my friends back because he wants to drink. They want to do all that stuff. So I'm just sober, just there watching. The cool thing is I don't even have to worry about driving. So I'm just chilling.
Well, that got me very happy that you had a good experience. So I wanted to make sure you were good. And then we started going back and forth and trying to schedule out here. And obviously during the holidays, it's very difficult. But a couple things came up to me. One, I just realized that you now have a brand new Tesla. So congratulations on that. But then I also saw you today putting up an Instagram live video of being so afraid to let it drive on its own, which begs the question, why did you get that feature? And number two, why did you stop in the middle of that? Because you were like, oh, I just realized something. I probably shouldn't do this.
Well, yeah, well, I'm gonna try it again. Like I'm like, I just so what happened was I let it go, right? And I did the Instagram live. I want to show you guys like you know,
The self-driving
the
feature.
self-driving live reaction, whatever.
Sure.
Um, I don't know why I didn't think my daughter was in the car at the time. Like I didn't like that, but that's why I stopped it. But she was in the car. But the car was driving, right? And I thought it was just in the like same lane kind of thing. But it decided to veer off, right? But yeah, and it freaked me out, dude. It freaked me out. But the thing is, I realized because I had the navigation on,
Yeah.
I guess it synced to the navigation because I thought it was just in cruise control, like you know, single lane, right? Like I wasn't paying attention to it, but it was in the full self-driving mode, and it just kind of like veered off. And when it like was going into it was starting to merge. So that shit just scared me. I'm not scared of it. Like I'm gonna do it. You feel
No,
me?
I know you just put it together on camera where
Yeah.
you were like, oh, yeah, I'm not against this, but my daughter is
Yeah.
here. This is maybe not the smartest choice. And I just started thinking to myself, I was like, I think I would be the same way because I would pretty much be like, hey, listen, I can handle what happens to me.
Yeah.
But like my wife's in a car, I would feel the most guilty not trying it out
Yeah.
first before bringing her in.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And I told my daughter I would do that too, but for some reason I was feeling confident. I don't know what happened. I was just like, "We're gonna do it, dude. We're gonna do it." And she's like, "Damn." She wasn't feeling it,
Just
but
the most hilarious look on your face was when you realized it was merging
yeah,
and you're just kind of like, okay, this is cool. I'm taking my hands off. This is fine. No less than 20 seconds later, it's taking the wheel. And you go, wait, no, not ready. Jesus can't take the wheel. No,
yeah.
no, we gotta go. And I was like, dude, I said a no, and I just go, hey man, I'm looking forward to seeing you today. Maybe don't let the car drive itself
Yeah,
until we see you. But otherwise, how have you liked the Tesla? Has it been good to drive in that?
it's awesome. It's awesome. Like, it's cool. It's cool. Like, it's a reliable car. You know, my last car wasn't so reliable. I felt like it was on its last, you know, spoke, bro. Like it was dying, man. Um, and it sucks when I have to pick up my kids. You know, when I have to leave, well, get to practice from there, pick up my kids, take them to their practices, make it back to the gym, and then make it home. Like it's like, and not knowing if your car is gonna, you know, make it. You know what I mean? And but you know, I would still like. I mean, sometimes I would still take the bus too, but because I'd want to give the car a break sometimes. You know what I mean? But but before that I was in the bus, so being in that bucket was still better than being on the bus. You know what I mean? Because I would still do all that, but on the bus. So it was still a level up, but now to get this Tesla, it's dope, right? Because now, like, I should technically, I don't even have to drive. You feel
Yeah,
me? So, like,
yeah.
so it's definitely a level up. And I'm gonna keep leveling up, you know. So I'm not, I'm not really tripping on it.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, for me, I recognize when you had your cars, if you would, you would be like, yo, I'm taking the bus, do this. And I thought for a second, I'm like, honestly, sometimes I kind of want to not drive because for me, when I would take public transport, I would be doing work for other works. It's just the annoyance of the public transportation schedule is a fucking nightmare. So now you have the ability to get stuff done and let your car drive itself.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it lets you know. Like, I think it has like eye detectors.
Mm-hmm.
That's what'll let you know. It'll like, you know, check you. And I don't necessarily think I trust it yet, but I've always wanted to pay one of my friends to drive me around, or like maybe like I have this fantasy like by the time I'll be in the UFC where I could afford it, but I want my nephew to drive me around. You know, he'll when he's of age, which it'll give me enough time. But it'll be cool because I'll put him on, right? Pay him. He won't be living minimum. He won't get paid minimum wage as a kid, and then I'll have a driver. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'll be able to do whatever I got to do some boss stuff. Because I'm thinking post UFC kind of
Yeah, yeah.
idea. I mean, maybe a little bit in UFC too, but we'll see.
I mean, at that point,
That's a cool little job.
you're gonna need somebody to probably walk you through stuff, especially once you get in the UFC, so that you can just concentrate on what you need to do. That's
Yeah.
the hardest part. Is like, I always tell people, I'm like, it just makes sense if you designate someone for, let's say you got a fight coming up, they're the driver. You designate someone to get you from A to B.
It's
Like,
nice, man.
it's way more beneficial, and it's part of the reason why, like, for my inner homies who I know are competing, or even for jiu-jitsu stuff, I'm like, you're not driving. Like, it's all good. Like, for example, the homie Brady, he recently fought, and he wanted to go to like a wrestling show with me. So it's like a WWE event. But he hits me up and he's like, "Hey, brother, like, how are we looking at all those tickets?" I was like, "Concentrate on your fight."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yep." And he goes, "Oh, but you haven't messaged me about it." I was like, "Because you haven't fought yet. Go fight, go win. We'll chat about it after."
Yeah.
The Bank of Esparza will take care of you, sir. It's just, I don't feel like talking about it with you when you have more important things to do.
Yeah.
And
That's because you
I would be.
compete.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
That's because you compete. That's why having a coach or having someone in your corner that's competed is huge.
Yeah.
You feel me? It's like if you haven't fought, how are you gonna tell me? If you don't train, how are you gonna tell me like what to do? You feel me? You have to train. Like I feel you have to train if you want to be an MMA coach for sure. You have to train.
Yeah.
Everything. You feel me?
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Be uncomfortable. Like how you can't tell someone to do something if you've never done it.
Yeah.
Like how you like sure you can see the YouTube video, but how are you gonna know the pressure?
Yeah.
How do you know how high my underhook needs to be? You feel me? Like so it's like yeah. Yeah. So that's dope. It's credit to you, man.
Nah, it's all
You
right.
know what's up.
I just listen, dude. For my inner circle, my friends, I just try to make sure that they can concentrate on being what they need to be. And then as soon as he won, my man didn't waste like 3 hours after his win.
Yeah,
He's
he's
just
going
like,
to
he's like, "Yo,
WrestleMania.
we going to WrestleMania?" I was
Let's
like,
go.
yes, we're going. And so we recently talked about that. So big credit to him. But back to you, sir. I want to ask this because you have this great experience. You're driving, you're enjoying that. But then I also noticed when you make the rounds around the holidays, your mom's is also busy. So how did this tamale thing come in? Because I know we talked a little bit about it before, but I'm just always intrigued around this time of the year how busy she gets. Because on your stories, you're like, "Yo, moms, when do they need to get these orders in?" Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, "Yo, that's a good racket around this time because I crave them." And I'll tell you one thing after you tell me a little bit about your mom's and her time with the tamales.
My mom's just I mean, she's a hustler, she's just I think that's where or I would say that's where I get it from, my never give up attitude. Like she finds a way. Um, maybe like one year she was thinking like I gotta get my grandkids some Christmas presents. 'Cause she just started working again, just because she wants to work. I mean, she wants to buy things. She wants to, so she started working again, but it kind of became a tradition at this point, right? She's done it for a few years now where she does it, but I think originally it was like she wanted to buy the grandkids Christmas presents, and she was like, "Yo, let me make some tamales," and she sells the Mexican style tamales,
Mhm.
right? But she also makes the Belizean style, but she doesn't sell those. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
wow.
in-house only. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. We actually made them last night. I helped out a little bit, but when I say help out, like I just put masa
Yeah,
like
yeah,
on the leaf and shit like that. And but my mom, like she's a G. She's a great cook, and so far everybody that tried the tamales loved them, so it's good. And just be ready for when they drop because when they drop, that's it. She doesn't. It was made to order. Yeah, yeah she's because it's hard work.
yeah.
You know what I mean? She puts in the work. She does it all by herself, all by hand, and she cares about it.
Hold
Yeah.
up. All by herself?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and she's such a savage, but she'll do them all by herself
Mhm.
and then go to work.
Yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
I listen. Normally, there's a team of Mexicans that would make them in my family. So, my mom, famously would always just be like, "Neil, it's too much work," and I'm
Yeah.
like, but I'm not coming home like if I don't get tamales. And she's like, "We're gonna make tamales then." And I go, "Okay." So my sisters hate me because of this, but I did find out I don't know if this is revenge for my sister yesterday, but we went to my sister's place. We pre-bought all of our stuff this year because we're like, nobody should have to cook. Like, let's just keep it. We always have too many leftovers, and all of us have too many dietary restrictions at this point. We're all getting older. You know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't be eating this stuff. And we're about to leave. We're packing it up. It was the perfect amount of food. And then my wife tells me, she goes, "Oh, by the way, yeah, they have some tamales here for you." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And she goes, "Yeah, we brought home some tamales from your sister." And I go, "Why didn't we have tamales last night?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, I don't know." And I go, "Why did we have emergency tamales that we did not use? I would have had that had you guys told me that." And she was just like, "I don't know, maybe it's because they had it the night before." And I went out spicy. Like, as soon as we left, I was in a mood where I go, I would have recalculated my whole dinner to have some tamales.
But at least you have them
I
today.
have them now.
Yeah, it's fire.
So now I can have them later, but I would have liked to have had them with the community, with the family. But I think what happened was,
Now you can have them
well,
now.
brother, now
feel
it's gonna
me?
get real bad because I'm gonna eat them by myself.
Yeah, it's cool. Let them watch.
No, bro.
You know what I
I
mean?
was just gonna FaceTime them.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got this.
God, I'm cold. I do that, bro. I'm
Bro,
serious.
that's
You should. They played you first.
I would tell you this. The fact that I think what happened was my sister went to her partner their Christmas family gathering. So they went there, and then the night they came back, they must have brought the tamales. They just didn't have them out on display for us because we were doing a different thing. So I kind of get that, but I was legit shocked when my wife goes, "Oh, we have some right now," and I go,
Hey, it worked out.
"It did work out for me."
I
But
think it
again,
worked out. I mean, it sucks.
it was
It's just
just
nice to have them fresh.
I just know like this. In my head, I'm thinking like, oh, Christmas and Thanksgiving, I'll have them. But on especially our family, it was definitely a Christmas thing. So it's the weird, dumb little tradition thing that your brain was like, but I must have them now.
Yeah,
It's Christmas now. I do not understand. So anyway, props to your mother. That is amazing. So you've been doing that. You've been staying grounded. You've been doing stuff. I have to ask, going back to the scheduling thing, I think one thing that made me laugh was that as we were trying to figure out how we were getting together, I was like, "Hey man, does this Thursday work?" And you were like, depends on what time." And I threw you a time, and I had no clue you were going up to see the boys at Up Next over here at the offices. So then I felt like shit. I was like, he's not gonna come back tonight. That doesn't make any sense. He already came here. So I was like, "Hey man, I just realized you're back and forth. Yeah, no, let's figure a different day." But I love the fact that I just happened to touch on that right as we were driving there because I go, "Oh, maybe today gym's open. I could use that." You're like, "Actually, nah, man." I go, "Wait, did you? Oh, that's why. Oh my God." So how busy is your normal day? And like, how does your holidays happen for you? Do you try to take a little bit of time off? Because we were already talking about how for Christmas, you that day had an open mat that we came more than just rolling.
Yeah. Well, the open mat happened because my kids were with their mom Christmas Eve. They do Christmas Eve. I do Christmas Day. So, I thought they weren't gonna be around till later on in the afternoon. So, that's why I was like, well, if they're not with me, then I'm gonna train.
Hmm.
So it's like my schedule revolves around my kids training and then money. S- But in camp, it's training,
It's true.
kids, then money. You know, as cold as that sounds, right?
Yeah.
But it has to be, and they know that. Like, at this point, they know that. Even my 8-year-old understands that, you know? My 13-year-old understands a lot more, right? Because 'Cause she's been doing this for a long time. She understands, but, like last time, this last fight week, um, my daughter's birthday was like the day after Thanksgiving, right? And they're having a birthday party for her. And this is they're having it on Sunday, the beginning of fight week, right? So I go to say hi. They're having it at her mom's house. I go say hi, and some time passes by, and then I get some news where kind of pissed me off. And then I was like, you know what? I gotta get locked in. You know what I mean? Like, can't be thinking about all this BS. You know what I mean? So I went inside, right? And the first person I saw was my 8-year-old, and I was like, Ava. I was like, because they were gonna sleep with me, right? But I was like, you know what? I was like, hey, Ava, like, do you want to stay here with your mom, or do you want to come back and sleep with me? And she's like, she was down for either or, right? And I was like, well, how about you stay here with your mom? I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go lock in for the week. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna get focused. She's like, "Go get locked in, dad."
Yo,
Yeah,
that's
bro.
tight.
Yeah, it was sick. It was the sickest thing ever. Right. And then I find my 13-year-old. She's like, "Yeah, all right, go do your thing." I gave them their hugs, their kisses, and I left. Right. And I went to work, getting locked in. My coaches were there. So they know what's up, man. But yeah, like so I mean, there's always something cracking, right? Especially like the cool ecosystem that I have. Like, there's always something popping up. I work with MMA Event Inc. You know, sometimes they're like, "Yo, we got to go to Belize to do seminars, right?" Or, "How do you feel about doing seminars?" So we'll make a trip there. We got my sponsor, Foreign, who wants to make trips to Miami, right? And I can be a bodyguard for him. I mean, I bodyguard for him at local clubs over here too. You know, I never know who I'm going to meet. I mean, a fight could pull up any given moment, so I have to stay training. So even though I'm not in camp mode, like, I try to stay to a schedule. But you know, like today before I came here, we had tennis practice. We have tennis practice on Saturday as well. My 8-year-old has jiu-jitsu practice. So
Hmm.
they're staples right now, right? But as soon as fight comes in, it's like those staples become strength and conditioning at those times, you know. And they understand that. But I still try to make it happen. But there's no way to there is no balance, bro. Like, there's no way to be balanced if you want to be great.
It is nice that they have an understanding of it, even though it is difficult, I'm sure, for them as well. Because when those things happen, everybody's got to pitch in, even when they don't think they are. And I'm sure they would love to see that, but they also know what that means to you and how important it is to you. So her saying, let's lock in is like, well, that's definitely your blood
Yeah.
telling you, like, no, dad, same. I would too. So I think that is a very cool feature. And that's obviously a good sacrifice and appreciated, I'm sure, on your part to them. Having said that, as you are doing those things, because that schedule is so intense and so crazy, I did notice as we were kind of sitting here, you know, one of your daughters is off camera right now, and that you were like, hey, you should look up some videos. And I was just like, listen to this man already try to be like, you should look up this because you want to emulate greatness, sort of a thing. And like telling her, I would look this or look up that. And I just thought, that's really kind of cool for you to already have that insight. Like, even though you're not a tennis pro per se, you're still like, if I was you, just like I do in MMA, I look up these people to emulate because I want to be that person. I think that was a really cool lesson to pass on. Like, it's weird because sometimes you don't even know it as a kid, but that's the way you become great.
Yeah. I try to do what I would want as I was a kid, you know, what I would, you know, my examples and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't play tennis. I suck. You know, she tries to coach me a little bit. Um
How does that go?
Yeah, I mean, I try, like, you know what I mean? Like, I tell her I'm coming after Serena Williams. I am. I'll catch her one day. You feel watch. You guys, you know, I'm crazy. Like, I don't know. Like, I say things and I make them happen, you know? Um and that's what I try to show her. That's sad. Good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I was not fully crazy. Where
Yeah.
I'm like,
Could have been.
well, no, but it was just like, yo, that looked like somebody was on my door. But I was just like, that feels weird. Anyway, all right. A normal happy day here at Mama Academy. let me come back into this. Boom, boom. I mean, let me put it to you this way. I think it is very good that you instill that in them. But for like my dad, he didn't. He worked for the city of LA, so he would try to give advice, being like, son, I don't know anything about entertainment. Like, good luck. But when I ran the city of LA, we do this, and I go, sounds great. That's not how entertainment works. But I always appreciated every bit of advice he was trying to give me at the time, because I was like, he's just trying to connect to me. And I feel like that's a cool thing that athletes can do to other athletes, which is like, I'm going to show you the way, even though it may not be the exact way. I'm going to give you a little bit of a path that makes it a little bit easier. So passing on that knowledge is really cool to see happen like live with you just behind the scenes. So I thought that was really dope.
Cool, man. Appreciate that.
Of course, man. I mean, listen, real recognize real. So every time I see that sort of stuff, I'm just like, that's a cool bond to have. And it's a little subtle things that I do observe and notice here. And I guess one of the things that does become of that is you get so locked in, you're definitely invested in them. How has the jiu-jitsu been going for your other daughter though?
Oh, she's liking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's loving it. She's more like me, in the sense of her focus. Like she's kind of like all over the place. Maybe like what you would say ADD, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe, but like I mean, my mom refused to put me on medication, so I don't ever think that's gonna happen, and I don't think it's super severe to that point where she would need that. But like, she definitely gets, and especially with social media, like the YouTube, 15 seconds, like she's on that sometimes. Like it's kind of hard to avoid it, but she goes on YouTube too. So I think like her focus, like even in school, but she's still a good student. She's still a better student than I was, even at her age. Like I was already messing around, um, and she's like all her teachers love her. Sometimes, like I said, she gets distracted, but with jujitsu, like she enjoys it, but she's like any other kid. Like if you let her play video games like all day, she'll choose to play video games,
Sure.
right? So, but when she's in the zone, she's in the zone, and she's really good, like natural like athlete. She's fast, she's strong, so she could be anything she wants to be. Um, but they're both gonna train. Like they both know a little bit of everything.
Nice.
But like they're not gonna be training to be fighters. They're training to just defend themselves and be confident wherever they go. That like if some dude grabs them, they're gonna beat the shit out of them. That's what I care about.
Yeah.
But the little one talks about fighting. The little one talks about competing. Like she wants to be a green belt.
Okay.
That's her thing, right? Because I like green belts. I think green belt is the coolest belt because like a competitive green belt. You know what I mean? Because that kid's to get a green belt, you got to be one training a while, and then two, like I feel like you're a dog.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point nowadays, now they're promoting them at blue belt, like juvenile blue belts and stuff like that. But at one point, that green belt was like
It was the thing.
was sick.
Yeah.
I know a couple kids that were green belts that were like sick green belts. Um, but yeah, she's liking it. She loves it. She's a natural, but um, yeah, she's just doing it.
That's cool, man. I mean, always love hearing when people are out there training. And I mean, especially when you have that knowledge, it's cool when you're able to kind of give some of that, because it's difficult, man.
Yeah.
Like, again, back to my dad when he's like, I wish I could give you stuff, but this is definitely in your wheelhouse and you know that stuff well.
But on that note, I'm zero involved, right? That's her coach. Whoever's teaching her is her coach. I'm just there watching, and I'm there giving the water bottle, and I'm like they're reminding her like simple things like, "Hey, remember, go for your scissor sweep, right? You go for your scissor sweep, you miss it, set your guard back up, get your grips again, and go for your scissor sweep, right? Because that's the move that she likes, right? So, well, that's all I say. Like it's like I don't do nothing. I just give her the water bottle, chill. How are you feeling?
You do what we tell the parents they're supposed to do, but because you know better, have been a coach your life, it's harder than most people think. But most parents think like, oh, I can come here and just give my say. And we always go like, hey, just be a parent, just chill in the back, let the coaches be coaches. When you show up, you're like, yep, Coach, listen
Yeah.
to coach, not me. I'm just here being
Yeah.
supportive.
That's it, dude. And then and it's funny, it's cool. She asked me questions afterward, right? And then that's when I can kind of give her a little insight, right? But I'm letting her learn jujitsu, letting her have fun with it, learn her body, because that's all it really is, you
Yeah.
know. I can spice up whatever she needs to learn afterwards, but right now, I'm just happy that she's a Carlson Gracie bulldog.
I was about to say, I've seen you take them, and I'm like, I know how much that means to you. I mean, obviously, given your fists here, brother, like I just know it's a fun bonding moment for you and the family as well. So that's kind of dope to see, man.
Yeah, it's huge.
So as we start to circle here, couple things that I wanted to make mention of. First and foremost, I know you made mention of that January 11th card. I would be remiss if I didn't say every fighter here in Los Angeles on an already booked card has been like, hey, if something falls through, I'm just saying. So I think what I would like to do is that camera is yours. I'm going to give you an opportunity. Just tell the people why they should have you, not any other fighter, you on that card if something falls through.
The reason why you should have me on, I don't even know what number. Well, see, that's horrible promotion off the
Oh no,
top.
let's hold on, hold on, hold
What
on. We're
number
gonna,
is
you know
it?
what? I think it's UFC 311,
Yeah,
right? Is it UFC 311?
311.
Well, you know what? We can. This is why we have things to look up. So I'm gonna do this right now on camera together. You can tell the last thing I looked up was Mary Chrysler because I needed to laugh at that. But UFC
311.
311. That is Saturday, January 18th. So it's
Okay.
UFC 311, sir. Let's hold on. Take two. Boom.
The reason why you want me on UFC 311 is because I'm willing to fight anybody, 55, 45, 35, and I'm coming to knock them the fuck out.
Good promo. I'll take that.
That's
Listen,
it.
brother, my thing is I've seen every single person being like, you know, if things fall through, I'm right there. And I go, that's part of it, but it's the other part is sell. Like, obviously, connections are the big part, the big chunk, but it's always like, it's a sell. It's continuously selling.
Yeah, I don't know. This you have to sell. You have to sell. I feel like the product has to be the big thing, though. You know what I mean? Like you have to win the fights. Um, but promoting it, I mean, there's different ways to promote because you don't have to be super outlandish, you don't have to be super crazy to promote. Like even Islam Makhachev is like super, like I think he's dope even though he like can barely speak English.
Mm-hmm.
you know he doesn't have to say much and get his point across. Same thing with that guy Hamzat Chimaev, right? People
Yep.
want to see him fight and he doesn't really talk too much. I mean, he does talk a lot, but you don't really know what the hell he's saying. So there's ways to get your point across. um I'm gonna knock people the fuck out. I'm gonna represent LA. I'm gonna show what the West Coast is about. Um, LA is known for having championships. We the Dodgers just won. Uh, I don't want to shout out to the Galaxy, but they just won. I want to bring a UFC belt here. I don't feel like. I mean, I feel like we've had champions from LA, but no one's gonna bring it the way I bring it. I want to have a parade. I want to make it big. It's a big deal. LA is the city of champions.
I should ask about this because you're so decked out. As you know, when we were talking about how you were doing security a little bit ago, it's like, dude, you would kind of blend in without the ears. You know what I mean? Like, I probably would be like, oh, he's a chill dude. All right, he's very relaxed. And then all of a sudden, you see the ears, you go, no, 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 never mind. I take it back. This dude, this dude's more than letting on. But having said that, I gotta ask, what did it feel like? How did you ingest the Dodgers victory? Because I know you were hype on that week as well.
Yeah, it was real cool. I mean, it was I got super invested. I mean, I'm always invested into any LA sports team. It's hard for me to watch full games of any sport unless I'm there. Um, but it's like it's very hard. It's very hard unless it's fighting,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but I got super invested because I ended up going. It was right after my fight. We went to game 2 in LA,
Oh,
the one we
really?
lost.
Oh no.
So I was like, I was like, the one we lost, I went to. Yeah, I was invested, Jack. So I mean, it's dope, bro. Like I take pride and I mean, I grew up in the valley, right? So technically, I mean, we used to say we're not from LA, and they used to say we're not from LA. But growing up, I've always been a Laker fan. I've always been a Dodger fan. Um, you know, like now I'm a Rams fan.
Okay.
So I've just always been like it's just LA over everything. It's just my city. And I want to bring a belt here, the right way.
Good man. I'm the same way, dude. And the weird part is I get a lot of flack from being from LA. So I get a lot of friends who are like, "Oh, you're from the," and like, dude, I made it a policy where I'm
You're
like,
jealous.
I don't apologize from being from here. I don't like if somebody goes, "Oh, the traffic," I go, "Nope, live somewhere unpopular then. Live somewhere shitty." Like
Yeah.
the reason people have a popularity here is because we want to live here. So if you don't want to live here, get the fuck out. I
Thank
don't
you.
have time for it. And second, if you got shit to say about my teams, well then tell me something different about a team winning every single year for the past 15 years. We have been a championship city. And unless you're a championship city, you wouldn't understand what it feels like. So when people talk shit about my area, I just go like, listen, y'all can say whatever you want. But if you come to my place, no, I'm an LA ambassador. I will take you to the good spots. But the minute you start being like, oh, I wish LA wasn't this, I go, then get out of my car. Because all I'm trying to do is show you what I love about this city. And if you truly love your city, rep what you love, not what you hate more. And I love this place. So that's all. That's where I'm at.
They hate us because they ain't us.
Exactly, man.
You know what I'm saying?
But like, it is funny because I find myself, especially during those weeks where we're big up in sports, like every Dodger fan didn't even care. Like from all the homies, like, you wearing blue today? Like, don't even know if there's a Dodger to it. I just am assuming today. So when I saw this dude show up, I'm like, yo, first of all, whoever's making this is Dodger blue. That I'm like, I see what's
I
happening
was
here.
thinking when you said grappling hour,
Yeah.
that needs a Dodger blue one.
Brother, I'm thinking about it. Honestly,
Has to.
you know what the weird part is?
Especially you're a huge Dodger fan, right?
I'm a
Yeah.
huge dude. I'm a huge LA sports fan.
Yeah.
So it's like even when LA isn't in there, I tend to go for people who are closest to LA. So growing up, I didn't really. My dad was very anti the Rams because he used to have tickets and then they left him. So he had some feelings about that. He used to have season tickets, which makes me so mad because I'm thinking like, "Yo, Dad, if you had kept those season tickets, we would have been set up for life." However, they moved. I get it. Having said that, growing up, I was a 49ers fan as a kid because I didn't really have a football team. And then I just kind of over time was like, if LA gets a team back, I'll kind of assimilate back. And sometimes being a Rams fan is tough, but I try not to be too much of a dick to the Chargers. Raiders fans I'll give shit to all day though.
Yeah. No, I don't fuck with the Chargers. Yeah, I don't fuck with the Chargers. Yeah, it's crazy because I'm like you. Growing up, I was a Dolphin fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was a Dolphin fan. I was thinking when I was in Miami,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I was rocking LA hat everywhere I
Oh,
went.
really?
Everybody knew I was from LA. For sure. Not to mention like my foreign. He let it's funny. Everybody knows foreign in Miami,
Mm-hmm.
and so whenever they shout him out on the DJ shouting him out,
Yeah.
they're like LA's in the house.
Hey.
Then he had his security guard with an LA hat. You know what I mean? So it was pretty sick. Represent no matter where I go. I'm proud of where I'm from.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I just get over this shit. That's why like a lot of us who are very LA centric tend to get along because we're just like nothing really bothers you. You know what I mean? Like, listen, dude, if you have other issues, that's your thing. We tend to be a very relaxed people. Well, sir, as we start to circle down, I'd love for you to look at that camera again. But now, any love that you want to give to your friends, family, people who hooked you up, the camera is all yours, sir. So go ahead, right toward it. That is on you. Shout out sponsors and fans and friends.
awesome. Shout out to the Samurai Squad, my coach Juan Gomez, my brother, my training partner Anthony Bully Romero, Black House MMA, and Carlson Gracie. Shout out to Up Next. Shout out to my sponsors, Athletic CBD, Gramercy, Thank Your Connect, and Big Foreign Lifestyle. Um, Shout out to LA Kush, always hooking me up, blessing your boy. And shout out to you guys, fans of the Grappling Hour, and all you subscribers, and all you unsubscribers. Subscribe so you can see all the cool stuff. I'm about to submit Raf like maybe like 10 times.
10 times.
So
that would be a first for you.
Yeah. Exactly. Hey, I'm putting the pressure on. Let's go.
No. You know what? Hey, I'm glad you brought that up because I actually had a video. And normally I don't like to be impolite and not look
Subscribe
at the guest, but I want you to see something here. And I don't know if you know this, but from the last time we rolled,
Oh,
There's something that happens in this video.
cook me.
No, it's not even cooking you, brother. Look, I want you to see what happens. This is something that I didn't even know if you noticed, but here you see shoulders on mat, and then you're going to see me count a pin here because I'll do this with our group. Now, the thing I noticed is if it wouldn't have mattered, most people don't move. But that dude tried moving after the third, and he was like, nope, no, I didn't get pinned. I was like, no, 100%. So it's 100% on video. So we do have that there. So I've held on to that footage, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna pull it up, a little bullet in the chamber here. And my man literally was editing the video, literally being like, you know what? Thank you for watching. Appreciate you guys. I'm gonna beat this fool up. And I was like, oh, hey, subscribe, homie. Yo, I appreciate you. I'm going to close this up and then we're going to do a little bit of training. But hey, if you are watching this, thank you so much for making it all the way to the end. Let's go ahead and do some thanks and appreciations before we close on up officially. But if you guys are doing this, like, comment, subscribe. If you have nothing that you want to comment on, maybe right now, comment your favorite thing about your city because all of you guys talk trash about mine. Talk about what you love about yours. That's it. Number 2, you can also find us patreon.com/grappling hour. Become a subscriber. As my man here said, $5 a month. See the interviews 30 days before everybody else. And for a few extra dollars, see the extra bonus content you won't find anywhere else. Last couple reminders, you can find us on Patreon and Spotify and Apple Podcasts at Grappling Hour and much, much more. You can also get some merch at rafesparza.com/merch. And finally, to head on over to see us on Discord at Grappling Hour to continue the conversations we have here on the show. All right, ladies and gents, that's going to do it for us here. We have some work to do. Albert, I cannot thank you enough, brother. It is always good to see you, my man. Ladies and gents, it's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.